Okay, so this first shield that you used, you placed it here, giving you this barrier, which, look at this, right? This is the line of sight, and that's how much like your barrier is actually being used. Actually, sorry, it's like this, right? That's the line of sight, so you're only using that much barrier, and you're only giving yourself this much line of sight to deal damage, right? And if you're firing a ranged projectile like this as Orisa, and this is the amount of space on your entire screen that you have to aim at, like that's pretty bad. Especially if you're forced to engage onto them. Okay? So your first shield, place it here, assuming that they have range damage. Okay?
Okay.
If they have like a Hanzo, they have an Ashe, they have a Widow, whatever. Place your first
In that
shield,
corner?
like how you're looking, shoot it here, because the shield will go like this, right? And then you can stand here, shoot damage, and the second your shield breaks, you take one step and you're behind this wall again.
Oh, okay.
Okay? So you're dealing damage, you're pressuring them for free. You get to see what they have, and your first shield is always going to go down the fastest, right? Because you place a shield, and all the Hanzos, the Ashe, the Roadhogs, the Reinhardts, whatever, they're going to use their Fire Strike, their Storm Bow, their Dynamite. They're going to use all of their cooldowns as soon as they can shoot something. And the first thing they're going to see is your shield, right? So you don't want your first shield to be something like this where they can destroy it before you get any value, right? You've done maybe 10 damage, 10 like hit points of damage to one person, and your shield's almost already gone. Meaning that if you want to push up, you won't have your shield for 5 seconds. And they're all full health. They have nothing stopping them, right? So as Orisa, oh, don't place another defensive shield. Okay. You don't want to fortify before you place a shield, especially on like attack. You want to use your fortify if this Roadhog was to push through your shield and try to kill you. Okay? So your shield placement is good. You see Roadhog's here, someone's here, and so they kind of like have this space that they're controlling, and they give you all of this. So your shield respects the distance that they have. It keeps them at a bit of range, but at the same time, it puts you in a comfortable position to deal damage, right? This distance between you and Roadhog, you can hit every shot there. But at the same time, it's a big commitment for Roadhog to walk forward through the shield to engage onto you, right? Right, so that Roadhog, because even though it's just that far, just this distance, was enough to scare him into using heals and walking back to his team, right?
Okay.
So you won the shield war, huge, right? You need to immediately place a shield. You can shield while reloading now as well. Yeah. So, you missed out. Like, think about it this way. Orisa and you shield at the same time, okay? Her shield breaks, and then 2 seconds later your shield breaks, okay? This means that her next shield is going to go down 2 seconds sooner, right? And the health that she lost in between shields was 2 seconds after you had 2 full seconds to deal damage to her in between shields, where she had to back up, she had to reposition to here, right? And so with your shield, you never lost it, so you're still full health. If you immediately place your next shield off cooldown, or assuming you use the remainder of this shield to damage onto that shield, to damage her or whatever, win position, you're winning the neutral fight, and you're giving yourself an advantage. You're snowballing one shield into the next because of the cooldown times. I'm sorry, I'm explaining this horribly. I'm actually explaining this horribly. But Basically, if you destroy her shield, that will force her next shield down sooner because she has no shield. And if you keep your shields constantly up, taking the space that you gained with your previous shield, and you're pushing your advantage onto the other Orisa, and you're forcing her you're breaking her shields faster and faster because she's putting them out of desperation instead of comfort, then it gets to the point where you break her shield and there's 6 seconds before she has her next one. And that 6 seconds is allowing you to fully push onto point, shield onto point, and then she has to then re-engage onto you with a time disadvantage.
Okay.
Good pull. Good pull. That's a situation where you shouldn't place your shield because you have your barrier was still like more than half health, and theirs was already cracking. Right? You see that? So if you destroy the shield, you have think of your shield as like your health. Okay, you have your 400 HP, and then you also have this health. Okay.
Okay.
You're right, it kind of is. But so this Orisa is low HP because his shield's breaking. And because you have all of this plus this plus your 400 HP, that's how much health you have. And this Orisa doesn't have her shield yet. And this shield's about to break, so she has this. Right? See the difference? And like health advantage? And so if instead of shooting that McCree, for example, you instead focused on this advantage that you have between shields and break the shield and then work down her health, that's whenever you put yourself in a position to kill the Orisa. And if you kill the Orisa, then you immediately win the fight because you have shields they don't. Unless your team's actually like slow. Right? But you wasted that shield, that advantage that you had because you placed that one down so soon. And so you placed yours down first. She placed hers down second behind you, which means that if you have a Lucio, if you have an Ana, if you have a Moira, they now can't heal you because the enemy Orisa shield is behind you blocking the heals. And your shield's health is now lower, meaning that she now has the advantage on you.
I see.
Okay?
Okay.
Samuel, thank you for the bits, man. Fortunately, you did hit your shot and you destroyed her. She was discorded. But you see, like you have no shield. Like you literally have 18 HP, and then her shield is right behind you, blocking all of your heals. That was a really good shoot. Like your shield placements are good. It's your timings that are bad. The first placement wasn't good. Start shooting, but a little bit before. So like, you pull, start shooting now, at the hog, and then whenever you, it's whatever your keybind is, but whenever you actually decide to pull them. So let's say this: you shot the graviton, the halt, and you're hitting hog, and then whenever you decide to pull him, you can then track in advance and hit all of those shots, and then you're already hitting here, right? And this is why it's good to pull above people, because you can shoot hog, and then you can track him up, and then you can track him as he's falling, and that's guaranteed damage with Orisa.
Okay. I like it.
So, you see, it's not until you miss damage hog walking in a straight line, you miss damage whenever you pulled him, and then even just on top of like pulling them in general, we'll see that, like, look, see where your crosshair is? You're getting no value. You should be shooting the Roadhog because he's free ult charge. And then as you pull them in, you could be tracking and you could already be hitting them with your bullets in the middle right now. Instead, it doesn't come in until like a second later, right? So you need to pre-fire into your holds. Should you aim holds at the ground so it pulls by itself and you don't have to worry about timing the hold? Not really. It's not that big of an issue. Shooting holds at the ground is only good in certain scenarios. So if like a Genji blades shoot the hole out of the ground, because you know he will get pulled to that spot, right? If he dashes and you shoot it kind of like at him, then all of a sudden there's like a distance. Like if Genji's here, you shoot the hole this way and he dashes this way, then all of a sudden there's this much of a distance between you and Genji where you missed your hole. So just kind of shooting it like at the ground ensures that the graviton's here, and no matter where Genji goes along this line, it can pull him. So pulling it, like shooting it here at the ground, yeah, would pull them towards it, but at the same time, it's much better, like in general, in all of any video game you play, you always want to go with the highest value option, even if it is higher skill, even if it is harder to pull off consistently, because if you do get to that consistently, if you do get to that consistency, that means you have an advantage over all the other players who only know how to shoot their graviton at the ground. Right, so pulling up in the air, for example, you can't see it. Pulling up in the air, for example, you know, you shoot them here, you fire your halt, you track them as they get pulled up, and then as they're falling down, you track them down, right? So you're getting a lot of damage with that. With Hammond, it's the same thing. Your Hammond, you shoot at them from the air, and then you slam, you knock them up in the air, and you shoot them as they're falling down. And then finish off the melee. And that's really good burst DPS is like Hammond. It's the same thing with the Orisa. You do that burst damage to out DPS the Mercy's pocket, the Mercy's healing. Just Overwatch in general, you always want to go with the highest value option. Sorry, that was a chat question. Back to you.
That's fine.
So here's a situation where you're winning the fight, you want to shield onto point now and take that space and begin capping point as soon as possible. Good pull.
Get behind the barrier. Sealing expected combat value captured. Recording performance for future analysis.
Okay, what you should do here is fire your shield right here so that your shield is placed. You have the full 800 health, and you're not going to lose any of its health because you have these doors blocking damage, right? And that allows your cooldown to start so that you have another shield ready. So you have one here so that whenever the gates open, the enemy team that's attacking you has to deal with this shield. And then the second it breaks, you already have your other one off cooldown, so you can immediately place the second shield. So basically, if you placed one here, but right now, and let this come off cooldown, you have one 1600 health barrier in this choke. Right?
Nice.
So you basically pre-fire the shield.
Got it.
So you get, like, even if the door's open, you know, and you had your shield right there, you're like, oh, they're not here. Just move it up. It's no problem.
Okay.
Okay, so placing shield on payload is generally a pretty bad thing. Because... how do you say your name? Is it Kelp? Kelpa?
Kelpa.
Kelpa. Kelpa, like, literally does it... shows a good example. If he had shield on his payload, then he wouldn't be able to push up and immediately start getting the value on this shield right now. So, what you should have done, I mean, you can push Cart from being right here and you could still shot. But yeah, so if you had shield on payload, it just restricts you to being here. You're getting no value. This is why Orisa should not be on payload. You should be pushed up here, holding this line of sight, and then your Zenyatta should be on payload with his little baby orb on you, and you win all of this space just because your shield is here, right? So you win payload to this point. If you holding this angle right here with this line of sight forces them to go behind the corner onto bridge, then you push the next shield up to here. And then all of a sudden now you can push payload up even further. And so the Zenyatta, like, is just sitting on payload capitalizing off of your positioning. On payload maps, you always want to take the fight one choke in front of the payload, and then you want your, like, Zen or Ana, someone who can get value at range, pushing the cart so that they can't. This is assuming you have line of sight, right? Pushing the cart so that they're, while the enemy team, let's say, okay, shield's here, the enemy Orisa, shield's here. While this fight is happening, you're just pushing payload for free. The longer the fight goes on, like, the more value you're getting, you're winning the objective, right? So because you can't see a single enemy on your screen, you should push up as far as you can. Like, obviously not to their spawn up here, because then the Zenyatta cannot help you. You're fighting 5v6 at that time, right? But you want to push up to here. Once the payload gets to here, push up to here. You know what I mean? And you want to keep, like, pushing your advantage and using the space that they give you. So Reaper's a good example to shoot the ground, because he's walking forward in a straight direction to your teammate, and if you shoot the ground here, you know for a fact he will get pulled back to that spot. Instead of shooting it, which it's moving in opposite direction of him, and running the risk of mistiming a max distance pull. So, shooting the ground is good against Reaper. Yes, that is true. Lucio does push cart in that situation for that reason, but that's only on specific maps, because most of the time you want your Lucio up with the team, because if, let's say the enemy team, let's say your team is here, and Lucio is back here pushing cart, right? And his heal aura is like this. And the enemy team is regrouping here, then they speed boost and engage onto your team. Now your team doesn't have the speed boost to kite back, and while this team fight is happening, it's a 5v6. Because you don't have your Lucio speed boosting your Brig into position to deal damage and heal your team. So essentially you're down 2 supports, in a way. So that's why Lucio should not normally be on payload, and normally it's like Zen or Ana and Goats. More often than not, though, it's actually D.Va, because she's one flight away and she doesn't really lose any value for being a little bit farther away from the team, because she just fly forward and DM the engagement whenever I'm teams.
The payload moves with certainty.
D.Va loses the least amount of value in most situations. Gibraltar, for example, D.Va always sees some points. Okay, wait, actually, Gibraltar's a map where your entire team needs to go high ground, so D.Va pushes cart because she can regroup with you on high ground, right? And you do not want Lucio or Zen or anybody who's not able to have high ground mobility like that pushing cart. So you know they're above you. I don't know what that pull was. So Orisa's pull, most of the time, you want to use it defensively, right? So, for example, a Reaper's pushing onto you, you shoot your pull and you pull him back, right? It gives you space, keeps you alive. Most of the time, you want to use your pull defensively to keep them in front of your shield, right? They try to go through your shield, you pull them back.
Yep.
That's how you want to plan to use your Holt most of the time. Second point. Yeah, well, King's Row is a very specific example. Because King's Row's second point, you can push up so far because the spawn is so far away, and you can hold that long lane where second point ends, and you have plenty of time to kite, and you can't hard engage if you're the defending team with a Lucio speed without the attacking team having time to kite back and giving a heads up to like, hey Lucio, we need your help, and he can get there in time, right? A map like let's say Dorado. You don't want Lucio on point first or second point Dorado while you push up, because they can drop from high ground, they can engage from all these close ranges, and you need your Lucio there to boot defensively and speed boost you out, or to speed boost you onto a target. So what you did there was actually okay. The biggest problem was you should have already had this base, and they should not have been allowed to get high ground. And that's because you were playing cart, right? But yeah, you did what you could after that. I would have tried to pull them off high ground, but otherwise, not much more you could have done. You placed a good shield, and you were shield dancing with the nano boosted Roadhog who was ulting you. Oh boy.
Yep.
So, once again, regrouping with your team. Hanzo just died. Genji's already dead. You have one person already up who's going to die and get staggered because they're far forward and they have a hog. They're going to get hooked. So you're basically going to be down 3. But you go ahead and commit yourself, which is going to give them ult charge. Your ultimate, which is one of your biggest like game-winning plays that you can make as Orisa, and you're committing all of that on a team fight when you have 2.5 minutes left to win 2 team fights to push the cart to third point, and you're choosing to invest ults into this team fight instead of waiting for next one where you might have a better chance. Like, that's what you want to think about every time before you walk out of spawn. It hurts me how much value you got out of that. 1, because their support skill was horrible. 2, because their position was horrible. And 3, because they're on the shield. That was good, Peel. That was good. Push up. Good job, good job. I would push up even farther. Honestly, shield here. Right? Shoot your shield right here so the half covers. Right? And then you can now hold this.
Mm-hmm.
And because you place it early, right after you get kills, your next shield, you will be able to leave that shield whenever they push through and just place it here like you were going to. Yeah. Holy crap, you went super aggressive. And then that shield is too aggressive. Right, you shot it off cooldown because there was potential damage there. What you should have done is stop shooting, run back to your team. Right here. Stop shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Soldier's gonna live. There's teammates coming back from spawn. Stop shooting, turn around, go back to your team as fast as you can. Because you turn around, they can't get headshot multiplier on you. Because you're not shooting, you move faster, right? Instead of placing down this shield and just having them walk straight through it because you're by yourself on this little corner and you can't hold it by yourself, right? Now you are 3-4 seconds without a shield and you're not getting any value out of the one you place there.
I see.
Your Orisa is a lot better than your Rhyme, from what I've seen so far. Like, your Orisa so far is better than me. I'd say mostly just like mechanical. Your mechanics aren't bad. That's a decently good bongo. But why place that shield and like immediately walk in front of it? You need to take more time. Like, don't rush your shields, right? Take your time, think about your shields. You want this shield to be here so that it shields around the corner, and then it gives you LOS into this corner. Gives you OS of both spawns, right? And then you have a wall to take one step behind it. You're good. Instead, you have this shield, which gives you this line of sight, right? Where you can't see that spawn door, you can't see in here, you can't see what's happening on this high ground, you know? So you want to shield the lane, not like the corner of it. Your shield should be like that. Yeah?
Okay, got it.
You could place that one up a little bit farther. You got 2 kills. There's one enemy here. Place it here. Yeah? Because now, cart literally just push you right in front of your own shield.
Yeah.
Once again, place it a little bit farther forward.
Pretty along.
Pretty. That's a good one. I like that one. Good job moving around the field. Not getting beat. That was pretty good. That last fight was really good from you. Your peel, your awareness, your focus fire, and then your abilities management was mostly off cooldown again, but they were like all good. Each shield you placed was advancing, had good LOS. You were using your pools productively. I actually didn't pay attention to the fortify, but otherwise, like, you're playing good for the end. Lever. Focus Ryan, win the main tank. Oh, look at all that damage you could have done to Ryan. From the time that he gets here to here, you pull him back to here, make him push again, and from the time he gets to point A to point B as Orisa, you should destroy his shield. You and your team should destroy Ryan's shield. And I don't like that shield necessarily, because your whole team, if you look. So Ryan, you let Ryan through for free. Did you see that? Always want to focus the other main tank if you're the main tank. Mostly. That's like, there's specific examples. But basically, your Genji, I believe that's Genji, maybe? Genji, Ana, basically your team's going this way, right? Which means they're leaving this position, this lane, where they can push. And then your shield is like this, which means that whenever you're positioned here, they are 100% free to engage onto you for the next 7 seconds because you don't have any shield. So what you want to do is shield more like this to block a little bit of both sides. Okay?
In the corner?
Yes. So basically, I'm saying turn, so you're looking this way, and then shield like that. Because your shield actually like more realistically stretched like this. And so you have this line of sight, and you have the line of sight on the other choke. Instead, this shield, hopefully you look to your left. So you pulled them so far away instead of saving it for whenever you need it defensively. Right, you could have pulled that Ryan pinning.
You're right.
Okay, here. So, crap. It's hard. So the shield, right? It only blocks this. And remember, there's nobody on your team who is watching this flank. So there's nothing stopping all of their DPS, whoever on their team, from just kind of rotating and taking this angle. Then all of a sudden, there's nothing you can do to protect the rest of your team. You just got your shield off cooldown, right? That entire fight, you were exposed from this. That's why I was saying place it more in the corner, because you're the last person leaving that position.
Okay.
Okay, so you use your pool, and now it's 6 seconds off cooldown whenever Ryan's here, right? Which means that it'll take him about 4 seconds to make this rotation with his shield up, meaning that he has 2 seconds to get out of your pool range, so you can't get that damage on him whenever we were saying you need to break a shield between these 2 points. Okay, so your pool here allows Ryan to rotate freely.
Got it.
See, he's safe, and you still don't have it yet. It's too late now. You saw his shield? His health? Look at that. Imagine if you had pull, and you could pull him right here, and you only can back out. Then you would force him to go back behind choke, and they can't even push on the point. If you still had pull, you could have done that. You pulled in between shields, and you weren't, like, in a good position to even follow up with damage. And because you used a second aggressive pull, now they're pushing through your shield. You have your shield off cooldown, you have your fortify on cooldown, and your point blank range to Reinhardt, and there's nothing you can do about it. If your DPS and your, like, if your team wasn't fragging their team, you would be losing this point because of you. Right? You pull Zarya out, and you shield, and only get a tiny bit of damage on her. Now they're pushing onto you. You have to reload. You don't have either of your two of your 3 defensive abilities. Right? And remember, fortify and run. Like, you gotta realize you can't do anything in this situation. You're kind of screwed. Especially after seeing that shield, you gotta get out. Good luck. See, that's a much better pull. You know Zarya's in a bad position, you have the advantage, and you pull her into line of sight and you're ready to pop the damage. That's good.
Stop right there.
But the way a lot of people misunderstand defense is that you don't have to kill people. You can win. I remember one of the first games I ever played in ranked. I was playing Ana and my friend was playing Lucio. We had 4 tanks. We lost the game and nobody on our team died.
Oh, wow.
We were attacking King's Row. We lost the game and not one person on our team died. Okay? So, like, what does that mean? Like, we had 4 tanks. Me and my friend, we were killing it on support. We were giving them so much heals. But because our teammates were incompetent to push in and play aggressive and take that space, the enemy team prevented my team from pushing onto point. And so they won. They didn't get 1 kill. Nobody on the team had 1 limb on attack. Or on their defense on our attack. But they won. They full held. Right? And so whenever you're playing defense, you are going for these pools to get kills. You are pushing aggressive shields, and everything you do on Orisa is to get kills and to frag. Instead, it should be, I'm going to do everything I can to deal so much damage in this choke that anytime they do want to push in, I pull them right back and force them to push in again. And just in between all of this space, right? I'm doing so much damage that they are stuck here in my LOS, and I don't even let them get to point. And
Got
if
it.
you do that, you don't have to kill them. You just have to make Ryan keep backing up, waiting for his shield to recharge, and pushing again, and doing the same thing. Their team, if they are incompetent to coordinate speed boost Zarya bubble to rotate Ryan in to get a push onto point, and you're doing this, you win the game and you hard carry it because you're doing this, right? Instead, you aren't using your abilities to hold this choke, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with me that you are in your head playing for kills and playing in an aggressive manner instead of playing objectively?
Yep.
Okay.
You're right.
Mentality coaching's so fun, dude.
Yeah,
And it's funny because Noah said the same a few days ago.
Sorry?
And it's funny because Noah,
Yeah, Noah said the same about your gameplay?
Yep.
That you play aggressive?
Yeah.
Uh,
That I'm playing for the kills and not for, for objectives.
Surrender to my will.
I mean, it's easy to just watch someone's health bar go down and watch them die and, like, shoot them and know you're doing good because you're getting kills. But this is where, like, it takes a skillful player to recognize, here's the choke, here's the main lane, here's their alternate rotation route, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then here's another alternate rotation. And so it's my job to recognize that this area is the kill zone, and me as the main tank with a shield, an infinite shield, an ability that is one of the best CC abilities in the game, if not the best, right? And then tons of spam damage, and an ultimate that amplifies my spam damage. I am extremely qualified to hold them in this position, right? So that's what you need to see at Eichenwald Choke. You need to see that whenever you're playing Reinhardt on a control map. But it's completely different for Reinhardt on a control map. Your objective when playing every single hero is different on every single map and in every situation against every single team composition, right? This is like your win condition. It's what you need to do to win. And so this is why it's important to practice a smaller hero pool, like we said before. Pick just like 3 heroes. Start with like just Reinhardt. Maybe like Orisa seems to be your best hero so far. Start with just Orisa, right? And learn like these positions, where to play Orisa, how to hold that choke, how I should use my Holt, where I should place my shields, where I should kite back to, right? How to hold these lanes. And once you learn that on Orisa, then you can play Ryan and you have prior knowledge of how to play Orisa on that map. And so then you can use that prior knowledge and apply it to Reinhardt. And then you can kind of learn from there.
Got it.
The biggest thing is like if you're playing Orisa, Ryan, Zarya, Diva, and you didn't. There's no reason for you to play Zarya. You didn't have a main tank, right? There's not necessarily reason for you to be switching to all these different heroes. And if staying on one hero is hard for you, I suggest you read the coaching advice I pasted in my Discord.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was talking to somebody about having issues with committing to a hero and practicing like main tanks. Or he would play main tanks and get to a point where he was frustrated and he'd switch to support. And then he'd get frustrated with support and he'd go back to main tank. Right? So if that's an issue for you, read that. Otherwise, you want to build a core. Say, Orisa is my best hero. I know for a fact I'm good on Orisa. And Orisa right now is the best tank in the game. Let me check myself on that. Yeah, Orisa right now is the best tank in the game. Okay? And so, practice her. Get good at her, right? And then, once you are playing your Orisa, and you know your Orisa's on a high master's level, then all of a sudden it's much easier to bring your current plat, silver, like plat to gold-ish Reinhardt up to a high diamond level because your Orisa's already high masters. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So yeah, we'll continue. So look at that. I mean, Junk kind of messed up, but you forced him out of the choke. You forced Zarya bubble, and if Junk would have waited, he could have gotten a free kill, or not a free kill because you can't one-shot Reinhardt with Tire. But you get what I'm saying. You're pulling time off the clock for them.
Yep.
Just because of that one pull, you took about 30 seconds off of the clock because of that one pull. Don't shoot the fire. Okay, just a little bit of advice. Whenever you have your supercharger and you're planning to use it, right? You shield, right? Don't pull until after you use your supercharger. That way, the bullets that are dealing damage with your pull, right, are amplified, right? Because you pull them, and then Zarya's already out, Hanzo's out, and Ryan's like just shielding. So that pull got no value. But if you were shooting now, and then you pulled, and you and your teammates' damage is all amplified on that one spot, that's where you get a lot of kills and win the team fight quickly.
I see.
Once again, like, don't shoot at the Ana who's out of position. Just focus the shield. If you break the shield, then you can kill people for free. That was unlucky. Yes, you should. Animation cancel the supercharger into a shield. Is good.
Stop the payload.
About Fortify. What about Fortify?
Because of Farva's poop.
Were you asking a specific question, Culpa?
Not yet.
About about like Fortify. Were you saying like in game, like just then? Just gallery. I assume you are not sure you're using gallery. Honestly, don't move that shield. Okay? They're going in, they're rotating, they're doing some weird stuff. You don't know what the enemy team is doing, right? You have your shield. It's such a long cooldown that you need to make sure wherever you place it, you're okay being for the next 8 seconds. This shield is full health. It has line of sight on payload, which they're not pushing, right? So remember, they're not pushing the objective. They're taking time off the clock. You're winning the game. So you're placing the shield down, which means now, if all of a sudden they dropped on you, I can't move my shield for the next 8 seconds. You know? You moved it for no reason.
That's it.
You use your pull aggressively at long range where you dealt maybe 20 damage and you don't know what's up here. Remember, like, being observant. Game sense is about not just like hearing things and knowing where people are. It's about like looking and allowing your brain to absorb information. animation cancel and supercharger into fortify valuable? It kind of depends. Fortify is only used if they push onto you, right? So if you're using it at like longer range, then yes. Where like Icon Wall Choke, where they're trying to rotate, if you had your shield down already and you're using your supercharger and you animation cancel with fortify, then yes. Honestly, I didn't know you could animation cancel with fortify.
Me neither.
I knew you could with shield. I don't know how. I know you can. I don't know how.
Огонь по готовности.
Fortify out. Yes. Get out of there.
My will.
For your safety, please move behind the barrier.
We'll test it after this coaching session. We'll test it.
My ultimate is charged.
What the heck happened here?
Oh, now you go.
Oh, unlucky. Yeah, we will go into custom game after coaching. Okay. So what you should do, people are already contesting. Lucio's on point contesting, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Shield here, supercharger here, pull here, and you want to force them to either come to you or get off cart. Right? You don't have to put yourself... Orisa's a ranged character. Every part of her kit says, don't come close to me. Right? I want to hide behind my shield and do damage at range. Right? Lucio's touching for you. Until you have to fortify and touch, you should shield here, a bongo here, give your entire team amplification damage, and put these people in danger because they're at range of you and your supercharger. Right? Instead, you hope first, I don't know why, because you don't even try to do damage to it. Then you shield extremely close, there's no point to shield here. And then you supercharge her on their side of your shield, meaning Reaper can one-shot it. I don't know if he actually but you get the point.
My ultimate is almost charged.
Surrender to my will.
That was a good pull. That was a really good pull. Genji overulted though. Where should that shield have been? Where should have that shield been? Oh my gosh, dude, I can't speak.
Maybe in the corner?
You can draw. Where do you think that shield should have been? We'll actually go back. Okay. Where do you think it should have been? Kelpa?
Maybe behind the payload.
Okay, so...
Surrender to my will.
Beautiful. Kill Winston. Genji's plating, Warriors using Coalescence. Shield here, whenever they have that much range. your shield should have been like here. Okay? Because your Genji is blading, he's aggressive, your Moira's coalescence, your team's full health, you have an advantage, or they're giving you space, you want to push up and use it.
Okay.
Because you shield yourself here, and because they're all backing out, now you're in a position where you've already walked in front of your shield, because you can't get any value with that shield, right? That shield
Like
should
there?
have been here.
Oh, okay.
So that shields this doorway from that Reaper. And you can also use it to push. I mean, it's kind of harder. Maybe like right here would be good. Because you can use it there. And then it also blocks the Reaper.
Okay.
Right, if you had it up, it would have been blocking the fire rockets. And it would have blocked that sleep. Now you turn too much when you place that, otherwise it would have been good because it would have shielded the corner like that. Okay, but you kind of like flicked your mouse. So, in general, okay, you don't want your shield to be like this because it's not intersecting the corners, right? You're only giving yourself this line of sight, okay? You want your shield to shield the corner like this so that you have this line of sight and you also have this line of sight, okay?
Okay.
In the neutral fight. If you have an advantage, you want to fully commit to holding this lane because you don't want them even getting close to the corner where they can engage this way, right? You want to force them to take a long-range fight where they have to push you at range in a one-lane area behind your shield. But you can only do this if you have an advantage because otherwise you place it aggressive like this and they walk straight through your shield and kill you. Right? So, go back. Here you said behind payload. First you said maybe at the corner. They're all backing out. They're giving you space, right? You don't want to place it anywhere around the corner. You want to place it here so you watch the lane and you can have that advantage. Right? But you could do it a little bit more aggressively because they're giving you all that space. And you got to remember, even though this lane kind of ends here, just on the other side of this is in a huge lane bit back to the respawn.
You are advised to move behind.
I'm gonna say that was kind of an accidental fat finger.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna skip through this if you're still on Orisa. I'm not gonna take too close to it at it. Because we'll just have the same mistakes. And then we can also, okay, we'll look at Reinhardt. And then we can get onto your screen bot for the last like 30 minutes. We'll go till 2:30 because we started late. Does that work with you? Sound good?
Okay.
Do I have uptime in my commands? No, I do not. Okay, that's unlucky and embarrassing.
Nothing was cool.
So what happened to your shield?
I think I had a bastion or something.
Used. Let your team heal you until you get to here. You're at no risk of dying. And yes, you're giving them some ult charge, but that's a small price to pay, right? But it allows you to jump here, shield, and walk across with your shield at full health and let your team cross with you the very first time you try to cross that choke, right? And then all of a sudden now you have a good chance to cap first point. Because giving them maybe this much damage of their ult charge for free because you're walking in a straight line without your shield right?
Yeah.
Might sound bad, but look at how much more damage they get to do to you and your team because you don't have a shield now.
No tengo escudo. Yeah.
Genji's dead. Obviously receiving a ton of damage. Okay, so now you're pushing out. You're down 1, and you only have a 1,000 HP barrier. Oh my gosh, they messed up bad. Oh, don't give him space, don't give him space. They have Bastion and Orisa, don't give him any space. That was a real good jump shield from you. What I told you to do with like the Hammond, right? You did it here. You did it really good here. Right? You have Bastion here, and you have Orisa here. Right? You can't shield both of them. It's impossible. So what do? You take like one half swing, or you shield cancel it, and then actually, okay, so right here's Orisa, right here's Bastion, right? Bastion's dead, but you don't know he's dead yet. What you do is you jump back, and you put yourself in position where if Bastion was still alive here, and Orisa's here, now you're blocking both of their angles. Right? You're keeping both of them in front of you. So that was a really good like jump.
Nice.
Only thing I would say is drop your shield as you begin your jump, right? Because basically, you drop your shield, you move faster, right? You drop your shield, you jump, and in midair, you put your shield back up, and then that momentum, that speed, continues until you land. So you travel more distance while only not shielding for a smaller amount of time. That's what jump shielding is.
That's so loud. It's so loud.
Any questions about the last VOD, Orisa, anything? Objectives, win conditions, etc., 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 etc.
Not for now.
Okay.
It was pretty clear.